All right, I think we're live. Yep, we're live.
Yeah,
Bruno, how you doing,
good.
buddy?
I'm doing better than I deserve. How are you, brother?
I am doing well. I am doing well. I was going to say, Bruno, so maybe help kick us off. Tell people a little bit about Outdoor Builders, maybe just one or two lines of what you do, and then let's back into your story. You're back. I'm really curious to kind of, peel back the onion on Home
Yeah.
Depot parking lot to eight-figure CEO.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, like I mentioned to you off this call, I'm just building something that will help a lots of immigrants and the day-to-day people that have their construction business. So we create a system that can potentially scale their business from like no figure to six, seven, even eight figures a year with our AI technology. That's basically what I did.
I love it, man. I love it. Cool. So, Bruno, before we get into Outdoor Builders and how you guys are changing the way people build,
Yeah.
let's talk about your background. Yeah. So, tell me, where were you born and raised? There was a bit of background noise. I don't know if that's on my side or yours, but we could just work through it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you hear anything? It's probably my kids in the other room.
Should be
No?
fine. Yeah. Let's
Okay.
just let's just barrel
Yes.
through it.
All right. So basically, originally from Brazil. I was born and raised in Brazil until I was 16. My parents came over to the US, to the Bay Area, Silicon Valley area, when I was young. So basically, I was left behind with my 6-year-old sister at the time. And then a few years later, my sister was 8 and I was 16. My dad basically said, "Listen, it's time for you guys to come to America." And in my mind, I'm like, I get to see my parents again. Great. I didn't know the whole how I was going to get here, and this is where my story gets very interesting, because basically what happened was my dad hired some people to bring us over. I never met those people before, and basically they arrived at my grandma's house, and my dad called and said, "Yo, those are the people you gotta go with." And I'm like, "But I never seen these people, right?" I had my 8-year-old sister at the time, and I was 16, and I'm like, "Okay, Dad, I'm obeying what you're telling me. I'm just gonna go with them." So basically, we left a little village, a little town where we used to live, into the capital of my state. I'm from a city named Barra de São Francisco, which is basically called the Bay of San Francisco. Very interesting where I live today. And then from our little city, we went to the capital of the state, which is Vitoria. And then from Vitoria, we went to São Paulo, and from Sao Paulo, it's where things gets really interesting because we went to a different country. So we went from Brazil, Sao Paulo, to New Mexico, Mexico City, in Mexico. And then, in order for anybody to leave the country, two minors, here's what happens. My dad basically gave my guardian and my sister's guardian to these people that we never met, which in today's language, we call those people coyotes, right? People that cross you over to a different country. I didn't know that I was coming through the back door the way we did. So basically, I'm right there in Mexico, and the next thing we know, this guy comes and says, "Oh, we got to go to Cuba now." I'm like, "Wow, go to Cuba? Okay, another country." I thought we were just gonna cross from Mexico over, and then at this time, they says, "No, we got to go to Cuba." So we jump in another plane, go to Cuba. Very, very different from what I ever seen. I'm always with my sister, right beside me, and my grandma. This is a very important detail. She sold money into my pants, meaning like she created little pockets with money inside my pants. And every time I tell my story, there's details that comes back into my memory. Like, oh, I forgot to share this last time. But I had on me inside my pants about $45,000 in cash. That every little section that we stop, I will go to the bathroom and pull money out so we can pay for our food, and we can pay for every time that we get to places. And all of this is basically just following what my dad's telling me to do. The next thing we know, we're in Cuba, very different. We got to waiting on a boat. This boat never arrives, and we're like, okay, what's gonna happen here? The next thing you know, they say, "Hey, we gotta go now, go, go, go." It's like a movie, right? After watching Sounds of Freedom, anybody that ever watched that movie will probably relate my story with that movie. Um, we just kept moving forward, like very, very worried about what's going to happen now. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know the language. I don't know Spanish. In Brazil, we speak Portuguese. So I'm trying to learn as I go things. And then we ended up having to move islands. Now, going from Cuba to Bahamas, they put us in a plane they had chickens inside the plane. They have like light animals inside the plane. It was like a bizarre scenario. And here we are from Cuba to Bahamas. We went to Nassau, where there's the triangle, Bermuda Triangle, right? That's where everything go ghost. That's where they have the Caribbean Pirates of the Caribbean, right? That's where everything happens. And little do we know what the adventure that we're going through. And then we finally arrive in Nassau, and then from Nassau we're able to wait on a boat, and then this boat finally arrived after a few days, and we jump in the boat in the middle of the night, and we just wait on people to pick us up again. And this is a fishing boat. Finally someone gets there, the captain of the boat, and then we start sailing towards Florida. And then in the middle of the sea, and this is where we almost die, is that the boat stopped working. Water's getting in, we're sinking. We're talking a 25-foot fishing boat in the middle of the sea. The waves, they don't really crash, but it becomes a big, huge wall in front of you, right? So I couldn't hear the boat cracking, and we're like, we're gonna die. Like, we're gonna die. It's just us, my sister and I, and people that I never met, right? This is all people that I'm meeting as I'm going through all these steps. And then the next thing you know, I'm taking the water out, helping them out with the 5-gallon bucket, and I fainted, and I passed out. And then the only reason that I was able to like come back is they kept trying to wake me up, throw cold water on my face. I wake up again, I'm throwing up. It's a very intense, probably the most intense stress moment of my entire life, right? And then I just go and see my sister at the corner of the boat. I go out there, I hugged her. And then, you look at the hurricane season, it's January in that area. So we're going through this in January of 2007. And there's a lot of hurricanes that came out. You guys can Google and search from during that period of time. But I would say by God's grace and mercy, we're able to get to a place in Florida that I can't really recall where it was and how, but we're able to go and park the boat behind this guy's house, and then we made it to America, right? It took us 21 days from the moment I left my grandma's house to get to the U.S. It was an adventure. We almost died, brother. So the way I look back is like, okay, God, thank you. You gave me opportunity, to be alive. And I think by being here now, I get to see that I'm not here just because I'm here to make money or have a better life. That is a calling, that is a purpose, that is a reason why I made it to the Bay Area. And after I got to Florida, my parents was already living here in the Bay Area. And once you're inside the U.S., you can travel nationally with just your regular passport. And that's what we had. And then we jumped in a plane and we came to the Bay. That's how I got here with my 8-year-old sister.
I normally don't go speechless, but that's crazy. Wow. And Bruno, how has that experience shaped who you are today?
Great question. Again, I'm a very believer that God always have a plan for our lives. There's like a pathway that we got to follow. And that just I became a man then at 16. The responsibility of having my sister, it's just, she's my everything, and and I am her everything at that moment for like those 21 days. That I didn't trust anybody that was around us. I'm like, I got to take care of my sister. So that made me become a man. I tell my wife that I grew up when I was 16, like meaning having the responsibility to take care of my sister and actually make it happen. So that helped me a lot. So since then, I never felt myself dependent on my parents or dependent on anybody to do anything, right? So it's kind of like I cut the umbilical cord of, dad and mom help me with this, to like, I'll figure it out on my own. Not because I don't have people around me that can help me, but it's just the way I'm wired now, which is like, I've seen a lot and I've been through a lot. So I know how to figure things out. So that just made me become a man early in life, basically. That's basically the answer. Yeah.
So keep going. What's next? This is like a
yeah.
movie.
So I got here. Okay, this broken English that you're hearing right now is the English that I was able to go to high school and learn. Went to high school for about a year and a half. So again, I'm 16, until I turned 18. I was going to high school. I got here in January 2007. I went to school until July, then it's the summer break, and then the whole next year, 2008, right? So I finished high school, and I met my wife in high school, and my high school went to play soccer against her high school, and she's Brazilian. I'm Brazilian. And I'm like, hey, you want to go out on a date? And she kind of like, sure, she was interested in just get to know me, and we got connected. Um, and then I got engaged at 17, like a year later. She was 16 and a half here in the US, very unaware, but because of the Brazilian culture, it's kind of normal. I asked her mom. Her mom said she got to finish high school. And I'm like, sure, okay, no problem. So 2 years fast forward, going to Home Depot, trying to provide or trying to raise my own money. There's a small Brazilian community that they kept providing me work, and like, 1 day worth of work, 2 days worth of work. But going to Home Depot and waiting on people to pick me up, I got picked up by a guy named Bill. And Bill basically just taught me construction, how construction works in the US. I was always a hardworking guy, always willing to do whatever, honestly earning money in the construction industry. So I got picked up by electricians, I got picked up by plumbers, I got picked up by people that does general construction. And Bill was one of the guys that say, hey, we do landscape work. And I'm like, sure, great, let's get to work, because I'm planning about getting married soon. So I got to provide to my wife now. So 2009, my wife turns 18 in December 2009, and got married May 2010. And she finished high school June 2010. So we're married while she's finishing high school. And now that I'm a married man, as a responsible man, the chief of the house, I got to make sure I take care of my wife, right? So by going to Home Depot is the only way. Again, it was not because I wanted to, it's because there was no opportunity for an immigrant to go to a regular job and apply for it. I don't have a social security then. I didn't have the paperwork that was required in order for me to go work in a legit company, a legit construction, or a legit even McDonald's. Like I couldn't just go and apply because I didn't have the paperwork. So by going to Home Depot route, it was like, $20 here, $30 there. And then Bill kept, bringing me over and over and over. And then I learned how to lay stones. I learned how to lay pavers. And then I connected back to my Brazilian community, where people were like, yeah, you know what? We're working with paver stones now. Let's start laying ground, do ground stuff. Then landscape, little plants here and there, lawn, synthetic turf, retaining walls. And then I just kept growing, growing, growing. I went to work as a subcontractor at this time. I was 20 years old. Yeah, 20 years old. I worked as a subcontract under a guy's company. And that's what basically thing kind of pushed me to really going deep into this industry. Again, going back to not having the paperwork, not having the legit business. It's just like, I'm working for this guy on a word of mouth. Hey, I'll go do the job for you and you pay me. At 20, I was doing jobs that was already worth, 15, 20, 30,000, 80,000. So just by word of mouth and people trusting me, again, I didn't have the legit paperwork to work as a legit business. So I made my way around of what's the legal way that I can do this. So I ended up going under other people's company. Hey, could you hire me even though I'm not a legit person here, but can you get the job for me? I'll pay a percentage. You have a company, you have a license. I have this client that wants to do the job. I don't have the paperwork. Can you help me? And I had people that helped me get little jobs here and there. And then there was this one guy that said, "Hey, Bruno, I know you, I trust you. Come and do a job at this house, and I'll pay you $80,000." It was 100 and something, but then $80,000 was my part. And this is where things just start shifting my life, because he took advantage of me, where I did the entire job and I never got paid. And then when I knock at the client's house door, I'm like, "Hey, dude, I finished the whole job. You see me here with the guys. You guys still owe me 80 grand. And basically what he said was like, you are an immigrant. You don't have your paperwork. I'm going to call the ICE on you. And this is not going to end up good. I suggest you to leave my property before I call the cops." What can you do when there is nothing that you can do? Right. And so basically that moment, something shift in a way of like, I'll never allow anybody to take advantage of me like that, because my yes to them is no to my own family. Meaning like, I'm there for 3 months, 4 months working, expecting to get paid on something. And then at the end of the day, it's like, leave my house, you immigrant, you this, you that, you that, I'm not going to pay you. and there is nothing I can do about it. Again, I'm illegal at the country. This is back in 2011, 12. And that's when things shift on my mind. And I'm like, what is it that I can do in order for me to have a legit business under my name, under my paperwork, under me? Even though illegally, there's ways around in California that you can do a legit business as you being the president and the CEO of the company. And then I had a really good friend of mine that said, Bruno, I'll take the license for you. Just I'll be a part of your business. Just pay me a salary and you go ahead and get the jobs done. And I'm like, great, that's all I needed. Even though if you're illegal in California, you're allowed to open up a corporation under your tax ID number. And that was the only thing that I got it when I first got here. The purpose of a tax ID number, it is basically just to pay taxes. Nothing else, no benefits, nothing. If you're immigrant, the only thing that U.S. will give you as illegal, it is a tax ID number, which the mainly purpose behind that, it is just to pay taxes. So I got my tax ID number, I open up my business. So now I'm a legal company. And Michael is a really good friend of mine. I said, Bruno, I got the license. My wife comes in as an RMO. He comes in as a license holder. I come in as a president of the company. So it's like we have a legit business legal in California to work now. It took me 1 year and I hit my first $1 million in sales. And that's when I was 23 years old with 1 year. So the way I see it, this, brother, is like this. It's a very simple thing. It's kind of like when you play in the Mario Bros, right? You play in the game. At one point, you hit a little checkpoint mark, right? Which means that if you fail, if you die from that point on, you don't go at the beginning of the phase. You go from the checkpoint and over. So I seen things already. I learned the hard way. And now I know that I don't need to go to the beginning of everything in order for me to keep building. So I'll go back to my checkpoint. So I started from the checkpoint again, and then bam, 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 bam. By 2015, we're doing, $3, $4, $5 million a year, and like just kept scaling. And now I am a legit business and I'm a legit, company going. So I'm like, yes, I made it, right? That's what people talk about, the American dream, right? In my mind, I'm like, yeah, it must be more out there because it can't just be this. I'm always a good person on trying to help others, because a lot of people help me and I'm always extending my hand. 2015, I unfortunately got into a situation where I was trying to help a friend, and he just the same way that people helped me before. Hey, I have a job, bro. Can you help me? You have the license? Sure. I went to help, and unfortunately, that guy ended up messing up the job. And the homeowner say, "Well, you got to pay me this amount of money, or otherwise I'm gonna, file a complaint and sue you guys." And I told him, "Hey, dude, you messed up. Go fix it. I'm just helping you with the licensing." And this guy that used to be a friend of mine said, "No, I'm not gonna do it." So a friendship ended right there. And then that was my first bankrupt. And I'm like, man, I just got it here. Now everything's gone again. And the same way, took me from 2015 to 2018, about 3 years in the shadows, just like going around and moving things around, trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I need to do? And now by then I already got my green card. I already got my social security. I'm a legit legal guy in this country now through my wife, because we got married. I'm going to do it on my own. I know exactly what I need to do. So I went and took the license myself. I opened up the business. I did everything. And we created the company Empire, right? So by creating that company, it gave us the name of the company was Empire, which is funny. That's what you want to say. We created a company where we had an office. We had people to take care of billing, people to take care of project managers, sales team. I had a whole 60 people in my organization. And now we go from seven-figure company a year to an 8-figure company a year. Now we're making real money. I done over 1,000 projects in the Bay Area alone. I did NBA players, NBA coaches. I did movie stars housing. Now it's like my name and my brand, it's known throughout the Bay Area. And I'm going to projects with that name and the legacy of like, oh, I know Bruno. I know who he is. I know that he can get the job done. He did the job for, Clay Thompson that played for the Warriors. He did the job for so-and-so. So it's like people knows me and they know the quality, which is the most important thing of the projects that I'm able to deliver. So we went just from not just landscaping, but anything that's outdoor. So swimming pools, fences, paving, pavilions, outdoor kitchens, pergolas, everything that you see on the outside of your backyard and the front yard was what I created in order for us to succeed as a business. So 60 plus guys and girls working with us. over 150 projects a year, all the way from 2018 into 2022. And that's when I was like, you know what? It's time for me to exit this now and get myself ahead of the game, because now AI is taking over. And this is where we at today. So exiting Empire, I sold, my client, I sold a bunch of things. I kept some things. It's just like the transition of exiting the business is very hard, because I love what I was doing. I'm passionate with what I'm doing, and it was just not enough anymore. So now it's time for me to step up. What's the next step? It is the actual AI technology being the center of what I'm working on it right now. Does that make sense? Do you want me to keep going? Do you have any questions?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm loving it, dude. I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's such a powerful story. But yeah, take us maybe into your current company and how you're
Yeah.
changing the world.
So basically now what I did is, when I had Empire, I'm a sales guy, right? I'm always about sales, and let's make it money. With Empire, going to a homeowner's house, I'm talking to them, trying to understand what they want, just, word of mouth, drawing on a piece of paper. So you want this pool, you want this patio, you want this furniture, you want this thing, just adding and adding and adding. It was, my closure rate was about 20 to 30%, which is amazing for my industry, right? But now what I realized, that every time that I took the time, extra 3-4 days, and did a 3D design for them, my numbers went from 20 to 60. And this, it's unbelievable how a person can double their rate if they keep doing the same thing. It's almost impossible. But when you change and you see yourself, the way I think is like, keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting the same results. If you want a different results, that means you got to do different things. That was me right there. Like, hey, I love the 30%, but like, it must be more. So by presenting a 3D design, my closure rate went from 25, 30 to 60%. So every 10 clients I'm meeting, I'm closing 6 of them because I'm making a 3D design. So how can I make this faster? Because there's not enough tools out there. It will take me at least a day and a half for me to have all these designs ready before I can present to the client. And then by presenting to the client, now they say, I love it, everything, but this one thing, I don't like it. This one thing, I don't like it. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Let me go ahead and fix this, right? So it was a lot of time consuming. And then AI come in a such a way, it's like, well, maybe we can do AI. And then I start creating with my engineer, Mark, really good friend of mine. We create a tool that I'm able to do those semi high quality designs within 8 to 10 seconds per image. I can get up to 20 images in 8 seconds. So now it's like the client see all the possibilities based on what we talked in front of them within seconds instead of few days. And what's the difference between us and other companies like ChatGPT and other companies that does design as you talk to them? The only difference is that I went to the manufacturers because of the relationship that I create throughout the years. And I say, would you allow me to train your product in my system? And all of them say yes, because they know me and all the relationship that we created. Now, when you see a design through our system, that product, it's actually linked to a physical product that you can just click on the link and purchase the material for your project. So now if you're a contractor, it's a SaaS system, you pay a monthly subscription to use the design, to do a pool, fencing, you name it, whatever, night view, day view, videos, whatever, Outdoor builders came to just change the industry of the exterior construction. So if you have our system, today we're able to do about 10,000 designs per day per user in our system. That's the capacity that we have today. So let's say if you have 100 clients that you got to meet today, you're able to deliver 100 designs within seconds. And again, designs with physical, tangible products that isn't sitting at the shelf of some store right now. It's like those are legit products, instead of generation of a nice image and you don't know where you can get those products. So we have the products trained in our system that no one else has. That's basically what we have. So homeowners can also go there and design on their own. Homeowners can sign up, they go there and say, I want to design this. And as they're designing, the system, based on the region where they live, the system will give them an average cost of, okay, you want to do 1,000 square feet of a patio with stone pavers and turf. Based on San Francisco Bay Area price, your project will be around $18,000 to $22,000. Is this inside your budget? Oh yes, it is. They'll click accept, and then whoever's in that region receive that job, and then they'll go there, execute the job. We receive a cut for every project that we send. We're not sending a lead; we're sending a project. That's the difference. And then we get a cut from the project that's being signed with that local contractor. We get a cut for every time we design a stone from a company A, B, and C. We get a cut for the monthly subscription. We get a cut for homeowners buying the credit. We get a credit. We'll get a cut from financing through a system. We get a cut. It's 7 cuts, little cuts, but 7 of them every time a job goes out.
Wow, dude, what a crazy 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Bruno, we're gonna have to do a demo for the next one. I think it might be mine in the background. I don't know. Like, something comes
Okay.
up. But anyways, Bruno, let's maybe tell people what the website is for the company, where people can learn more about you in terms of LinkedIn or Twitter, wherever. And then
Yeah.
help me land this plane.
Yeah, my LinkedIn is Bruno Freitas. It's very simple. I'm probably the only Bruno Freitas out there. And yeah, our company is outdoorbuilders.com. Very simple. You think about the outdoor, think about a builder. That's us. Outdoorbuilders.com. And people can go there and check it out, the website, and they do have free credits. Design your own stuff and let us know what you think.
And Bruno, just to close it out, you're talking to your 16-year-old self on that boat. What do you say?
You're crazy. What are you doing?
Go back.
I have my own 80-year-old kid right now. I'll never do what my dad did. But I understand. On his mind, it's like he'll probably have a better opportunity here than in Brazil. And I love my dad and mom, and they did everything for me to help me get here. And yeah, it's just today with the knowledge and things that I've seen, it's like, yeah, I will never do that for my own kids. But telling my 16-year-old self, it's like, yeah, just keep going. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Keep going. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Yeah, Bruno, let's do this one again, man. That was very emotional, and yeah, man, proud to be working with you. So wish you the best of luck. Thank you everyone for checking in. Bye-bye.